Hello everybody, this is Graeme. I'm one of the reviewers here on the Dice Tower. Now before we get into top 100 games, I'm going to give you a little heads up to kind of what my taste in games are. I love Euros, and you're going to see some familiar mechanisms crop up several times in this list. In terms of weight of games, I do like a variety, but I would say I'm kind of more on the medium to heavy side than on the lighter side, but still a wide variety. So how did I make my list? I went through all the games I've ever played and did a rough pick of which ones I thought would make the list. I then used a website called PubMeeple ranking engine to compare each game against each other. And I was weighing each game basically based on how much I want to get to the table. So my number one game is, if you ask me what I want to play right now, that would be my first pick. So with that brief intro, let's get right into my top 100 games with number 100. My number 100 game is from 2015 and is about the early days of coal mining in the rural region of Germany. And it's called Haspelknecht. Now the concept is you want to be extracting coal from your farmland. There's some close to the surface, but when that is exhausted, you have to start tunneling underneath. And you're going to need to be propping up your tunnel with wood and getting rid of all the water that kind of accumulates in there. What makes this game stand out for me is actually the action selection process. At the beginning of every round, action discs are drawn from a bag until there are 6 action discs in every active slot. In player order, you're going to pick one active slot and take all the action discs of a single color. Once each player has done that, you do it a second time, but you can never have more than 5 action discs in total. You're going to be placing these discs on your workers, and you're free to split them up however you want, but when you activate a worker, you activate all the discs on them to do various actions with those discs. This is one of those Euros where you just don't have enough time to do everything you want, so figuring out what you want to do and which development tiles you want is kind of the joy of this game and why it's my number 100. My number 99 game is from Uwe Rosenberg from 2020 and is all about growing crops, raising sheep, and helping out the local craftsfolk with your produce. Now this might sound like a lot of his games, but this one is Hallertau. You play the head of a small village trying to boost your prestige through agriculture and craftsmanship. There are several things that make this game kind of stand out for me. First is the whole field management thing. Depending on how good your field is, you plant and receive more crops. But by using them, you degrade your fields. If you leave them for some turn, they get better. I also really enjoy the cards in this one. There are 4 different types of cards that you can get for a single action. So do you want like end of game scoring or do you want more immediate effects? I enjoy that kind of balance. But the biggest reason for this game being on my list is actually the action selection process. Every round you receive action cubes based on where your community center is. You take these cubes and place them on the board to take actions. If someone already has taken an action that round, you can still do it, but it's going to cost you a little more cubes. 1 cube for the first player who did the action, next person has to play 2 cubes, then 3 until it's full. So each round is planning out the most important actions you need to get and making sure you have enough cubes to do that. And it's that action selection process that I enjoy so much that elevated this game onto my list at number 99. My number 98 game is one from a series of games, but this one is my favorite because of one simple mechanism, and that's the ability to reset your worker, or in this game, reset your glazier. This game is Azul, Stained Glass of Sintra. The game revolves around building stained glass windows in front of you, and they're double-sided to offer some variability from game to game. The glass factories are going to be seeded with random pieces of colored glass. On your turn, you're either going to take all of the pieces of a single color from one of the factories and place in your window, that's where your worker is, or the window somewhere to the right of your worker. Not being able to use all your glass incurs a penalty later. If you complete a window, you flip it over, place a marker below it, and score it and all the completed windows to the right of it, which is one of the pieces I really like, being able to score the windows multiple times based on when you finish them. But for me, what makes this game stand out even more is a simple rule. Instead of taking glass, you can reset your worker. As long as they're not already on the leftmost spot, you put them on the leftmost spot. Often in the game, you're looking at the pieces and figuring out, especially later in the game, what's the least worst action you can take. And sometimes you realize you can stick other players with a load of bad glass by taking that reset action. I don't know why, but it's that one little action that elevates this onto my list at number 98. My number 97 game is a new game from 2024 set in the world of The Legend of the Five Rings, which I know nothing about, but that doesn't stop River of Gold from being a thoroughly enjoyable game. Now the game revolves around moving your ship down a river to do some trading with riverside buildings, building your own buildings, and gaining influence or delivering goods to the customers. And this is all revolving around a single die roll that you do at the end of your turn. You'll be using the results of your die to either move your boat down to get some rewards from businesses along the river, or building your own buildings, delivering some goods to cards from your hand. Now you only get to do one of these actions, and where you perform it is going to depend on that die roll. All this is an aid of claiming masteries to score in-game points and moving up regional influence tracks that are going to grant you end-of-game scoring. The game mechanisms are pretty straightforward and relatively easy to learn, but I always find myself wanting to do everything in every region. I just want to score all the points. The players control the speed of the game, and it's governed by the players building the buildings. Now this is a quick game that still gives me plenty to think about, which I enjoy. The decisions are not too deep, but still engaging enough for an enjoyable game, and my number 97 on this list. Number 96 is called the Great Split. This one combines two things I really enjoy in games: the I split you choose mechanism and going up tracks. Now the theme in this one is about being a gem hoarder and getting together with like-minded folk to exchange your gems. Well, of course, you want to be the most successful at the end of the night by screwing over your neighbors. Now the basics of the game is you're going to have a hand of cards at the beginning of a round. You take them and split them into two sets. They can be whatever you want, just as long as you have two distinct sets. You put your splitter card in between them, put them in a wallet, and this is all going to be secret. Everybody's doing this at the same time. When everyone is ready, you pass your wallet to the person on your left and receive a wallet from the person on your right. You're then going to open their wallet and take one grouping from either the left or the right of that splitter card and give the wallet back to the person. Now you are also going to receive your wallet back as well. Then you take all the cards, the ones that you got back in your wallet and the ones that you took from the wallet, and basically go up the various tracks. You're going to be doing various things. All the tracks work relatively the same, but they are going to get you points. But they're probably a little too close. There is something I just really enjoy about the I split you choose mechanism, and I find that it doesn't crop up a lot in games. So when it does, I tend to gravitate to them. Now this one is starting to fall for me on my list, as I do find it a little samey because of those tracks, but it's one I still enjoy and plays up to 7 players, and the game length doesn't get much longer than 30 to 45 minutes. So that is my number 96. Number 95 on my list is actually a game from Richard Garfield from 2017 about Vicious Bunny. This is Bunny Kingdom. The goal of this one is to conquer new land on behalf of the Bunny King. Why bunnies? Who knows, but you know what? It's a fun drafting game. The board is kind of split up into a 10 by 10 grid. There's a deck of cards, one card for every space on the board, plus a bunch of special cards like end of game scoring, building cards, farm cards, and other things. At the start of the game, players are dealt a number of cards, so each game you only get to see a very small subset of the total cards available. You pick 2 cards from this hand to play this round. You're going to play your cards, construct buildings, then harvest, and that's kind of where the points come into. You're then going to take your remaining cards and pass them to the next player. You do this 4 times, and that's it. Then the game is done. And what really stands out for me is how much I enjoy the drafting in this one. Almost every single card in my hand I want to play, and I regret giving up all my cards. But it's such a fun choice. Having territory cards is critical, as you want to have kind of large plots of land. But just having the land isn't enough. You need to have buildings in your fiefdom, as the points are the wealth of a fiefdom multiplied by how strong you are in there. But you know what? Giving up those end of game scoring cards is tough as well. This is a game where you're always choosing from good options, and the game is quick. You're done in about 45 minutes to an hour, and that's the perfect length for this game. Any longer, I think I would have outstayed its welcome, but it's perfect on my number 95. Number 94 is, unlike my previous game, not a short game, nor does it have a whimsical theme like bunnies, nor does it look overly good. But the gameplay is just so solid. That game is Roads and Boats, the first splitter on my list, but not the last. Now this is a deep game, and by that I mean every time I play, I feel like I could do better next time, or there's some other strategies I want to try. The game is all about logistics and how to transport goods around the board. You start the game with almost nothing: a donkey, some geese, and a few resources. You want to be building up the land by producing more natural resources, but beyond that, you want to build places to take those resources and make them into refined good. These are called secondary producers. But they'll only produce resources if the resources are brought to them. And one of the critical aspects of the game is that you don't own most things. If you build a workshop or a sawmill or a refinery, any player can use it as long as they can get the resources to that building. And how do you transport them? Well, through building the titular roads and boats. The game board is made up of individual hexes that you can put together to create different maps, and there are some suggestion ones in the rulebook, or the players can just kind of decide on the map themselves. You then lay a large piece of plastic over it, which is one of the reasons why the box is so big, over the top of it, and the roads are actually going to be drawn by the players as they expand their networks. And like all splatter games, there's little to no forgiveness for mistakes. You can be into this and realize, oh, I made a mistake an hour ago. Now this game has slipped a bit for me in the years since I first played it, but only because of it's difficult to a game like this to the table. Not everyone wants to play a long brain burner, and I found other splatters that I like even more than Roads and Boats, but still this is a game that I enjoy, and my number 94. My number 93 game is a game set in the Old West called Sierra West, and it's all about crossing the Sierra Mountains to get to the west. The game has 4 different modes you can play. You pick one set of cards and kind of mix it into the base set. And there are usually kind of some minor rules that go with that deck you're going to be adding. But the basics always stay the same. You build a pyramid of cards with a wagon track across the bottom. On your turn, you're going to take 3 cards from your hand. and place them kind of behind your player board so that only parts of them are showing. And this is the most interesting part of the game for me. You're playing 3 cards kind of overlapped. So depending on what is showing are the actions you can take. And each card has 3 parts to it: a summon action, a green row action, and a tan row action. Once played, you're going to use your meeples to traverse the cards to activate them. As your meeples cross these cards, they're going to activate them one symbol at a time to get resources, moving your frontiersman up or wagon, claiming cards from the mountains to add to your deck, some fur trading, or maybe gain a mule. But for me, the real enjoyment comes from that card play. Looking at your hand of cards and figuring out which 3 you want to use and which parts of those are going to be visible after placing. The modules do change things up from game to game, but the core gameplay stays as enjoyable as ever. And that's my number 93. My number 92 game is one of only 2 cooperative games I have on my top 100 list. I love horror games, but I find it hard to find ones that I really enjoy. This one is messy. Rules are a bit of a mess, difficulty can be all over the place, and it's a random dice chucker. These are things I normally turn away from, but for some reason my number 92 game, Lobotomy, just manages to have that right theme, the right pacing, and just the right feel that I end up enjoying it. It takes place in a psychiatric hospital. Each player takes on the role of a twisted character with kind of a set of reality-bending disorders. The staff and other patients are seen as horrifying abominations and common objects as magical items. You pick up from a set of missions to play through, all based on kind of horror staples, but each with a twist. Each mission has a different goal and different creatures that can come out and attack you. The game mechanisms are your basic dungeon crawl. You'll be looting dead bodies, searching lockers to find weapons to fight the creatures with. You're going to be fighting by rolling some dice. You can recover some of your memories, which may or may not help you, or you can descend into madness, which will get you more cards, but it's going to cost you. Players are running around the board and strategizing whether it's better to stick together or try and rush the mission's goals by splitting up. And of course, you know how that's going to work out. If you're looking for a truly dark and mature themed game, this is one you should seek out, and why it's on my top 100 games at 92. The last game of this 10 will not be on my list next year, but it's on this year because of how much my wife and I enjoyed playing Sagrada Artisans. This is a legacy game set in the Sagrada universe. I guess if there is a universe, it's our universe. It does do an excellent job of taking the basics of Sagrada, the drafting of different colored dice to make patterns on your board. I like the basic game. Not enough to be in my top 100, but I still think it's a fun, solid game. The legacy version gives you something new to play with each game. Nothing major, but just little bits here and there that had me after each game saying, oh, I want to see how this thing works in the next game. The games are reasonably quick, 45 minutes to an hour, and the campaign is only 10 games long, but that was kind of plenty for me. I do not finish a lot of my campaign games, and the ones I do I feel sometimes I need to kind of push to get them completed. With Sagrada Artisans, it was never a question of finishing the campaign. It was enjoyably quick, and it was enjoyable to play. So why will I say this game will not be on my list next year? As much as I enjoyed it, opening envelopes, applying stickers, etc., I'm not sure I want to replay it again. So I'm not going to be getting it back to the table. I have thought about buying the recharge pack for it though, so you never know. So there we have it. My 100 through 91 games. This section is a little bit of everything. Heavy Euros, lighter Euros, a legacy game, even a Mara Thrash cooperative game. Some old, some new, and as my list goes on, it starts to going to get very Euro heavy. But there are still some interesting ones coming up over the next sections. A block war game, a strictly solo game, some lighter card games, but still a lot of Euros. But until next time, thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.